We are recording. All right. Hi, Virgo. Welcome to your reading for the month of April. Just a couple quick things. If you're looking for a personal reading, my website is linked below. And thank you everyone who has ordered readings with me, who's donated to the channel. That's been really lovely. I love reading cards and helping. Now I'm getting a message about like inner child is really coming through for you, because I wanted to open it up and ask like, Virgo, how are you doing? And then I wanted to say, I feel lemurish. How about you? I don't know if that was a Canadian program only, but Zaboomafoo from the 90s, the lemur show. Anyway, so much about inner child, like having fun, really being silly, because then with that, it was like, well, we don't have to be serious all the time. And sometimes being free and being like a child, or allowing your inner child to come out and play, is more liberating than any psychic message or retreat or meditation that you could go on. Both are interesting because both require presence. Meditation and like being a child essentially require presence, being in the moment. And, you know, there's a certain not worrying about tomorrow in a way, because you kind of have this joy for now that extends to tomorrow. It's like the sun, like you know that the sun will be there again tomorrow. And I know we can look at that and say, well, is it really? Will it really be there tomorrow? And some children it's not all about fun being a child. And that's true, but we're all adults here, and that's the wonderful thing about being an adult, is you can choose to still be the child, but you can make your own choices. You're not subject anymore to anyone else's influence or anyone else's permission or approval. All right, let's see what's coming up for you. I wanted to say tomorrow. What does that mean to you, tomorrow? This is supposed to be for the month of April, but whatever tomorrow means. DNA, karma. Okay. I heard a twisting of fates. You could have some 8th house activity going on. And that makes sense because it is Aries season. I'm just realizing that is your 8th house, generally speaking, right? Because Pisces was the 7th, your opposite, and now we're in the 8th house. So I would liken this, or I would explain this as the things we experience or have to become responsible for when we hook up with other people, when we join hands with a love partner, or when we join forces with a business partner, the things that they deal with then inevitably become part of our experience. And that can be very challenging because you've already come into this with all your own stuff. You're a whole snake, they're a whole snake, but together now you're creating an entirely new, bigger snake. And that means you've got to work together now. Like you're so entwined in this, and it requires some working together. This could also be connecting closer to the land, connecting closer, not just your DNA, but maybe the handprints or the ancestry that is native to your locale, the plants, the peoples, the ecosystems and everything, like really connecting, or the vernacular perhaps, or the attitudes. Like maybe you're moving to a new area and you're kind of adjusting to those things. So the DNA is not just about what's in you, your human form, it's also everything that is around you. And yeah, this karmic thing tells me that maybe you're dealing with something this month where it is part of your story because your whole life has kind of led you to that place. your choices, your path, and then you get there, but also the things you collide with on the way that weren't expected, that cause you to maybe reroute or like rethink things or learn new things, right? You're learning. And I'm being taken back to an institution where I worked in 2007. It was a women's institution, correctional facility. Why? It was, I'm specifically being shown the lunchroom. So like there's something about in this place of intensity, the respite, the break, the safe place where you could just go and have a relax. I'm getting chills. I have such chills right now. Your archetype, your major arcana for the month ahead. Now the karma thing's interesting because it kind of tells you that like everything's predetermined in a way. So like what I'm really feeling with your energy is like there's a very specific truth, but there's also another half to it, another option, well, what about this? Right? Like when we talked about the inner child, when we're talking about this DNA, everything seems like it's kind of predetermined, but is it? Because we also, like, are we truly making our own choices as we go through life, or are they predetermined for us from the way that we've been, what we've, our DNA that we carry, but also, excuse me, hiccups. Sometimes I get hiccups when I'm reading. Is it the DNA that's driving this? Or is it nature or is it nurture? How we've grown up, what we've experienced, what we've learned from other people, that has taught us a lot about relationships and what's possible in life and how we carry ourselves. But then the fact that this reading is for Virgos, it's like, well, maybe am I only going to ever react a certain way or look for certain things or, pursue certain things because I am a Virgo? So there's kind of this challenging to something that is presented as a possible truth, but I think even that possible truth knows that it's not a full truth without the other half. So, and maybe this is, fuck it, challenge that, separate those snakes. If there's something you're trying to separate from, visualize, because they're just growing stronger and stronger and they're becoming entangled. You could also look at the rat kings, the rats that when they nest together, the sebum on their tails, the oils get stuck to each other and then they end up all tangled up, the poor things. This was a massive issue. It still happens in certain parts, but it was a massive issue, of course, in the Middle Ages. So there's something about this something very tangled, needing to be not ripped apart, it could be gracefully lubricated and gently sort of separated. It doesn't have to be a tearing. It doesn't have to be a violent imagery. It can be something like an unraveling. So I like that we're challenging what this card, what this card is saying. So, Virgo, April, the Empress. Every sign that I'm doing today has this. Cancer had the Empress, Leo had the Lady from the Lenormand, and so there's a regality, there's a distinguished quality, I think, to this month. Now, this could be relating to yourself as a mother or your mother or a woman that you know. It's feminine energy. Show me how the Empress relates. How can we bring, so I'm being asked, how can we bring the energy out? How can we exhibit that Empress energy? Or if it's in me, then how do I bring it out? Because it's there, the potential is there, but it's not being realized. And look what she's doing. She's weaving. She's spinning wool. So a lot of this is like recycling, like taking certain things apart and repurposing them. Telling a new story with, oh my gosh. Yeah. The crossroads. Now you're going to be just fine no matter what you choose. But there is a choice. And I wonder if there's something unusual about like what you've expected from somebody, because I'm kind of seeing this Empress sitting at the middle of those crossroads, and you encounter her, and like typically we'd see the High Priestess there, but this is the Empress, because this is not about etheric stuff. This is about real life. Three-dimensional, like this is about life, right? So that's why the Empress is here as that guardian, I guess, going into one of two paths. And this is powerful because as you pass by her, and no matter which road you choose, she's still spinning that wool. So your energy is interacting with her, and it is being spun into that wool, which will then become, I don't know, a tapestry of some kind. Your story will be told. It's just a matter of which you choose. Eight of Cups. Walking away. Okay, we've got quite a few there. I'm just going to shuffle and get clear. One is flipped up. The Knight of Wands. Huge travel ahead of you. A change of residence. Definitely. It must have been a white bird, but it looked like a sailing ship. From the corner of my eye, it looked like the mast of a ship. Or the sail, sorry, the sail of a ship. A white sail. Your readings always do so. I find that like Cancer to Leo to Virgo, there's always such powerful, very spiritual, very deep for me readings. Ooh, yeah, travel. So travel is a big thing, or change of residence. I think this goes a little bit beyond traveling. It's not like booking a trip for fun. Because you've come here not to ask about that. If you're doing that, you've already booked it. It's not a question. There's a reason that this is coming out. I'm tasting cinnamon. Cinnamon is warming, it purifies, it's good for your stomach, it's supposed to be good for muscles as well. It's a comfort, it's common, it's easy to find. Maybe the ease, like the Empress with the easy comforts, crafting something, making something. You seem to be very in the creative flow this month. I think money's really good. There's a nice flow being generated from something that you've envisioned, and you're now putting it into the world. And there could be a very hard choice about what that is. And I don't know if that is a child, if it's a relationship, if it's a project, a business, maybe all of the above. Because often those things, Venus, does rule love and money. So career and relationships tend to follow a similar pattern in life. Like as one thing kind of falls into place, the other inevitably does. So there's, like how we feel self-worth, that is affecting our abundance currently, what we believe is possible. It's a time to walk away, and I think that you've been hesitating. You've been stopped at this crossroads fork. You've been looking back, waiting for someone to catch up to you and give you the answer, or explain something to you, or like, oh, I just want you to know this is why I did this, or please come back, or like, I think you've been like giving someone too much time, and they're not chasing you. They start to chase you once you've walked away. Now there's a strong sense of purpose here where helping other people will like get you out of bed. Like there's an excitement about getting out of your own experience and into like some world that you can discover and analyze. But you've got to be careful that you don't get too sucked into like the past, like someone else's past, or oh, what happened here? Because you've got the stereotype that you like to help people or solve problems, and that's a beautiful trait to have, and you are very good at that. But you've got to be careful not to get too caught up in wanting to help, because maybe that stops you from moving forward, because maybe that's when the person goes like, oh, I need your help, and you go back into that mode of like, oh, well, they need me, so now I have to stay. They need me, I have to do, like, it could be at work. Yeah, very, very significant. The path veers. Now, you know that you have to take a different path, okay? Your intuition has been pushing you for a long time. I'm not going to say pushing you, it's actually been pulling you. There's something on the other side that's calling out. And there's something deep, deep, deep in your soul that is responding to that. But your conscious mind is like making up reasons why you can't do it, or like this is the right time later. So something is calling to you, and it's telling you that things are changing, and they have to change, and they already have changed, and the energy's kind of gone. And there's so much excitement that lies ahead. Your energy will pick up, momentum will pick up. But first we have to cross that bridge. The bridge, the crossroads, it's all about the duality, and they're still connected. Theoretically, with the crossroads, we could always follow that path all the way back. With the Eight of Cups, we can always come back over that bridge, but it feels regressive to do that. And it's nostalgic and it's regressive. So maybe questioning your reasons for doing certain things, really look at it, are you really just being nostalgic? Or is it truly something that's best for you? Because, I go through that too. I start to look at how much I've changed or how far I've come, and then I look back at something and go, like an old picture of myself, or like something I was doing, or, whatever, and it's like, oh, I want that back, right? But you don't think about it until you really are struck by a memory of it, or it's in your face. So you kind of need a change of scenery to fully move on and embrace the new you. Oh, the Eight of Wands. Okay. You've got 2 8s, and then you've got this DNA karma. So there's a lot of karmic stuff being cleared out. And karma is like, all of our prior choices and actions lead up to where we are now. But again, as we become intertwined with another, that becomes part of our story. And I feel like this is kind of the month where you just want to separate yourself a little bit, or shoot yourself into the future, or maybe you do want to meditate or something and just see yourself into the future, what it could be. You've got a big boost here. There's so much projection into the future, a lot of movement. But it only comes once you've crossed that bridge. When you cross that bridge, now you've got the Knight of Wands and the Eight of Wands. You've got action, you've got clarity, you've got excitement, you've got things like ramping up. And now I think a lot of you too, you're going to have a lot of visitors this month. Visions, dreams, that kind of visit. Guides. You're putting something out into the world, and the speed picks up. It's like once you take the first step, you can't stop. And maybe that's what you're afraid of. You know you're going to love this. You know you're going to get swept up into it. And that's why you haven't taken the first step. Because as much as we know it's calling to us, we also don't know really what it looks like, or you'll know it when you're there. Like, you will know it. Don't doubt that. Don't doubt your intuition. Don't doubt that what is calling to you, you will recognize it, because it is that universal law of magnetism. So it's not like you'll just be out there floundering, looking for, like, you will find it. It will find you. But on the way, you have to be careful not to get caught up in all these little tangles. You've got to keep going down that path. You've just gotten out of a tangle. Why would you get yourself into another one, right? Like, I'm getting a warning sign with the Knight of Batons and the 8. Like, keep moving. Because you're going to start to expand your reach. It's like you're going to take off. We've got you walking. It's like getting on an airplane. You've got your gate. You walk out to the plane, and then you get on the plane. You're on the runway. You start to taxi, and then boom, you've got takeoff. So you've got takeoff. But you've got to take that first step. The snake. Just be mindful of the little things we can get caught up in online, social media, direct messaging. Someone could be, I don't know if it's you or if it's another person, if it's someone who tempts you by getting into your messages, or if there is some kind of you seem to be moving away from an in-person place to more of an online or out there sort of presence. So like launching a website or putting yourself out there more. Some of you could be wanting to meet somebody by putting yourself online, but just because there is a snake in the grass. The Lenormand snake is not good. I usually like to advocate for animals, and I am year of the snake, so I try to advocate for the snake, but here I don't think I can. But you'll notice we've gone from 2 snakes down to 1. Maybe you felt like you had to wrestle with this other snake to keep it subdued, and you're afraid to let go of your grasp because you're like, now that you're on your own, what are you going to do? But there is somebody that you can't really trust. Now there could be, again, like messages, visits, communicating with someone. If someone is like luring you, I hate to say that word, enticing you, come visit me or give me something, like just be mindful of that. There is a snake in the grass here, and it is related to a quick in and out, a quick in and out. Can I avoid the path with the snake on it? How can I avoid the snake? How can I avoid the snake? The Emperor and Death. Say goodbye to this. Someone's very oppressive, and I think you'll feel that. You'll feel like you've lost yourself. You'll feel like the energy gets sucked out of the room. There's just something quite visceral about your reaction to this person. Now, some of you, I do think you miss someone. I think you maybe you've recently lost somebody. But there's an acceptance that the way they took this physical form is no longer the same, but the Eight of Wands, they're still around. Like, you can still reach them. They can always be reached, no matter what the scenario is. But we do have that Empress and the Emperor now coming out with the Death card. It's the end of a road. Something feels like a dead end. It's the end of a road. And it feels that way because you keep coming up to dead ends. Like, why can't we plan for the future? Why can't I see into the future? It's because you've got to change your perspective point. Then the vision opens up. But right now you've tried to break away from this snake. You let it go on its own, but now you're worried about what it's doing, that you're not there. And now all your energy is being taken up by trying to find the snake in the grass. So that's, yeah, I think I'll just leave that there, Virgo. So I hope you have a good month. There's a lot, like, this is big, but you will get through it. I'm tasting onions. Onions. What's that about? They have layers. They're wonderfully powerful and pungent when trying to get rid of viruses or ill health. They cleanse. They're intense, but they cleanse. 2023 readings are available on the channel, so if you want to see your full year ahead reading, Virgo, I do have that available on the channel. It's about an hour and a half long. It's pretty intense. We go into the month by month, and it's only April, so I do recommend checking that out. I put a lot of work into them, so hopefully you get something out of it. I will see you next time.